do you reflect back on your YouTube career? Is that what we call it?
Oh, failure. 13-year failure. I don't know. Oh, so the worst case scenario is I move home and home is a house on the beach in Malibu. And I got on the front page and 250,000 views for a video I did about how to take out your Christmas tree. In Vegas, I had this idea that all I need to do is really walk up to the top of one of these buildings and duct tape myself to say the Eiffel Tower in Las Vegas. I transitioned from YouTube videos to Netflix documentaries. Okay. So here's the idea. All right.
Pitch me.
The pitch.
Yeah.
You're listening to Board with Nelly.
Before the pod starts, a few small things. One, there was a few audio bugs and issues, so I made some cuts, but sometimes it sounds a bit awkward. I've tried my best to make it work. If you're enjoying the pod, drop it a review on iTunes or wherever it's possible, and I'll give some shout outs on the next episode. All right, enjoy the episode. Danny, welcome. Welcome. That's a great shot. How do I introduce you? You're an OG, in my opinion. Some people might not know. You've been in the YouTube game for 13 years. You have 145 million views, but most importantly, you've inspired a lot of people like myself to actually make content. And I always see on your videos people coming back and saying nice things like, you help them through a difficult time in their life or stuff like that. How do you reflect back on your YouTube career? Is that what we call it?
Oh, failure. 13-year failure. I don't know. What do you call it when you can't get past first base?
Wouldn't know.
Yeah. Still at bat, are we? Oh man. What would I call it? 13 years? It's been a lot of fun. There's something about living a purpose-filled life as opposed to the program, which is the track I was in. So I can't help but be thankful and grateful for the tiny bit of success that I can, hold on to it. But you can only tell people I got 140 million views so many times before they go, "Hey, shut up! You live at home with your mom. You're 40," and I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm big online.
Yeah,
I'm huge online. You don't know me."
What is that? Everyone hates you for no reason. People that don't ever accomplish anything will still have the audacity to kind of rip on you, which is kind of a weird thing.
I totally missed the question.
No worries. I was saying it's so weird that people have the audacity to hate, but they've yet not accomplished anything of their own. It's just such a...
I'm talking about my parents.
Balkan
people
parents
don't hate me.
Balkan parents, you can't please them. You could be a NASA astronaut. They're going to be like, why couldn't you be the first guy in the moon? What, you came to the party late.
No. They're not that bad. They're more upset about going to law school and then not being a lawyer because they already told everyone, at the church I was going to be a lawyer. So
that's
how they're like, so how's Daddy doing? I'm like, oh, he's yeah. He's on YouTube. Of course, back then, no one knew what YouTube was.
Right.
Now everyone's on YouTube, and it's like, oh, he's like my 3-year-old's on YouTube. Like, oh yeah, that's what my son. He's 40. That's what he does now. He's doing what your 3-year-old's doing.
Fair. Let's talk about the law thing. I want to know. You first started out YouTube while you were still doing law.
No. YouTube. I graduated law school in 2005. YouTube was invented in 2006 or 7. I think 7 or 6. I don't remember. But it wasn't even a thing until 2008 or 9, which is when I stepped on it. I graduated and then went into being a comedian. The old stand-up comedy routine. And And then that was a tough deal. And then it was a way of promoting the comedy shows. It was like, hey, that thing I was doing on stage, let's make videos of it.
Right. But I really I think your videos are, I'm not trying to suck you off here. I think you're an actual pioneer because you have a lot of like content that right now is kind of popular. React videos. You did really cool sketch videos. You went out in public and interviewed people, like had those like those like parody, like politic videos where you just, so like, I think you just came at the wrong time. If you did that, let's say 3, 4, 5 years later, you'd be a millionaire.
Yeah. I think my main problem, and I've spent some time looking back, is right now everything is so niche.
Yeah.
You have guys that are like car guys and they like just do stuff about cars and they're super successful in that niche. And you got people that do react videos and they just react videos. And so it's like so what happens is the human being, if you will, is splintered, right? Like, but they like specialized things. So let's say you're a person, right? And you're like, oh man, I like car videos, but when I watch car videos, I'm not gonna watch some comedian, doing car videos. I'm gonna watch the car video guy doing car videos. But you're also into like ninja stuff. So you're like, I'm going to watch the ninja guys do the ninja stuff. And I'm going to watch the car video guys do the car stuff. And I'm going to watch the camera people do the camera stuff. And the tech people and the unboxing people do the unboxing stuff. Right. So like everyone kind of dabbles in all these different things, but they only watch like the super highly specialized bits of it. And sadly, I'm kind of in the reverse of that. I was like, I'm going to try everything and suck at it. So I'm not as good as the car guy, but
you're a renaissance man in a world of specialists.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I feel you, my guy. I really do. I have a billion hobbies and I can't, for the life of me, just pick one thing to do. I love too many things.
Yeah. I wish, like, if you think about I would just watch this HBO Tiger Woods thing. And I wish my parents had made me play golf.
I mean,
oh God.
Yeah. I wish my parents made me go into tennis. Like, yeah, we all have these.
But here's the thing though. Would you be good at tennis?
I played high school, like pretty decent high school level. And I only picked up a racket at like 15. So like I genuinely think if I did have one thing and I could just say like, I'm going to do this, I could be good at it. But for the life of me, I can't decide on one thing to do. I can't. I get bored.
Middle.
I get to I'm in the middle.
Welcome to mediocrity. It's a long but entertaining life.
I just tell people I'm a Swiss Army knife of human abilities. Not really amazing at anything, but okay at a bunch of things.
I don't know. The Swiss Army knife, man. Good God. What a thing. What a thing. It's like a printer that does faxes and scans, but it's not really good at anything. It's like a duck. You ever heard the old duck analogy?
No, I don't know what the duck analogy is.
Oh, it's great. It's like an ancient Chinese proverb. The old the horse and the duck meet one day on a field. And the duck says to the horse, I can swim and I can walk and I can fly. You can only run. I would, and the horse goes, yeah, but I'm really good at running. I'd rather be a horse as good at running than a duck at everything.
That's spot on.
So just a duck.
Do you think of yourself as a duck? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I certainly do now. No, I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm kind of like human people, right? They're more like lasers.
All right, I'm in.
They just need to focus.
Sure.
Right? So you start off with this beam that's like, hey, look, here I am, child, learning all things, right? Like, maybe I like tennis, maybe I like golf, maybe I like math and science, and not that those things are exclusive at all, or skateboarding, whatever. And then you start to focus in a bit, right? And so some people focus in at like say Justin Bieber, right? When he was like 6 years old, he knew he wanted to be a singer.
Sure.
that's all he wanted was, I want to be a singer. So of course, and Dave Chappelle, he wanted to be a comedian at age 5 or whatever.
Right, doing free shows outside on a box in front of people.
Yeah, well, that was after he was successful. I'm talking about when he was like 16 years old. He didn't do any free shows when he was 16, 17 in a box. No,
I thought he was like in a park putting up a box and doing free shows when he was a kid.
Yeah,
was he? Is not?
No, not as a kid. No, I don't think so. I haven't. I mean, I
could be wrong too. I have no idea.
I think he did that. The stories of that happened after he kind of had his moment on Comedy Central, and then and again, I'm just from the papers and stuff. It's not like I sat there and talked to the guy, but from that instance was other comedians talk about what he did. That was he would just pop up in places because he couldn't get on stage anymore or something like that. I don't know. Honestly, I do follow his career, and I've had an opportunity or two to cross paths with him, but only as like that weird guy in the room. It's like
right.
You're standing next to the sun. It's like, what are you, a bright star? Is that what you are?
Gives you a little pat on the head.
Yeah.
Go out there, have fun.
I mean, he might talk to me, but just in the sense that like it would be awkward not to talk to someone in an elevator, but it's also awkward to talk to them. So you just...
Comedy is a tough game. I love comedians. I love comedy. I had a comedian on the podcast, and he was in comedy for 8 years doing it, and he was just on the outskirts of breaking in. Like, he makes just enough to live. We're talking a guy that's done it for 8 years, and then a pandemic happened, and what happens to the comedy game when you can't perform anywhere?
It goes online, apparently.
And that's exactly what he did. He started doing online streams. He plays like a football video game, and he plays like the manager role. And his streams are popping. He's found I think he likes that just as much now as he likes his comedy. Yeah,
that's a career. That's a career. PewDiePie, he did the game thing,
right?
The big games, the talking, the fast talking. People like talking.
People do like talking.
People like listening to podcasts. I'm not a podcast. I just drove to Mammoth to do some snowboarding. And I tried listening to like a bunch of podcasts on the way up there, and I was just like, who listens to this garbage?
We'll roll with the punches. It'll cut a few times. No one's expecting a professional podcast from.
Yeah, right. No, I was listening to a bunch of podcasts on the way up to Mammoth, and the thing that I really didn't like was the people talking.
Okay.
Like everyone was just retarded.
What?
Can't say that. Hold on. I can't say retarded. I was scolded. I was scolded at someone's birthday, and they were like, "You can't say that," and I was like, "What?"
We're all gonna get canceled one day, my guy. That's the way. I've just accepted that. I'm gonna enjoy the ride. One day, someone will find a tweet, a text, and
yeah. But anyway, I want to be sensitive to the retards out there. So,
I love it.
So. Yeah. No, here's the thing. You listen to a book on tape, and it's like someone's thoughtful approach to a subject, and it's been edited, and every word, every sentence, at some point has been like carefully gone over.
Sure.
And you listen to a book on tape, and you're like, oh, this is coherent, thinking. And then I was listening to a podcast, and I was like, this is the opposite of that.
They're just rambling, and it's nonsense, right?
Just absolute ramble, like linear thoughts come and go. And I was thinking to myself, like, well, that's just basically a human conversation. So it's like you're listening to podcasts, you're just like lonely. You're not like you just miss other people.
Sure.
It's not like you want to actually you're just kind of like, just so I'm not alone, I'll put this on.
Right. I'm kind of trying to find the middle ground there. I don't necessarily want a completely free-flowing conversation because I have some notes written down that I want to ask you. Like, I think questions that people might be interested, but at the same time, I hate the stage setup interviews, where I'm going to ask you and you've got your pitch ready to go. Like you're, to me, that's kind of, I don't know, disingenuous, but also old age talk show stuff. That's not fun.
Yeah. Yeah, they got so you're they start the story. How do they start those stories? I was
I
like,
heard this
so I hear
crazy story
having
about you.
trouble
Yeah.
with-
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you go to the mailbox, huh, every day? And the guy's like, oh yeah. So I go to the mailbox.
Like a regular poor person.
Yeah.
So, okay, I want to ask you, you are a really funny like guy. How did you get into law? It seems like so opposed to your character as like from what we see, at least as an audience, you're a goofy guy. Law seems like the complete opposite of what you want to be doing. How did law happen?
Money was the answer there. Money is the short answer there. The long answer is my parents came over from Yugoslavia in 1969, and they were trying to make good on the American dream. And so, like, as I was growing up, it was always like very you have to do something real sensible and be a productive member of society, as opposed to like some sort of artist member of society.
A degenerate.
And so then,
a degenerate.
yeah. Well, just something where I don't even know if lawyers contribute all that much to society.
Yeah.
There's an argument to be made.
You might have gone you've gone worse than doing nothing. Actually, you've been damaging to society.
Yeah. It might have been a whole other gig, but but then when I was 20, I've been right through college, right into law school, and then right like my last year in law school, the parents finally, were like, you know what, we're doing okay. We don't need you to be our retirement. We've got enough socked away that you can kind of do your own thing. And I was like, okay, cool. And that they didn't certainly say that to me. It's not like they said that. They were just kind of like, they were like just rich all of a sudden, like what happened was real estate prices kind of went through the roof.
Sure.
And they were always buying and selling houses, kind of like as things go. And so the houses got bigger and bigger and more expensive. And then eventually it was kind of like, oh, we've got houses and we're all set. So you're kind of, they got rental properties and stuff like that. And so they're like, so you don't necessarily they didn't say you don't have to be a lawyer. They said you do have to be a lawyer. That's what they said to me.
But what you heard was different.
What I saw was an opportunity to not, because the burden, right? The whole burden of survival was lifted.
Sure.
Because I looked around and I was like, oh, so the worst case scenario is I move home, and home is a house on the beach in Malibu. Like
first world problems. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm just like, you know what? I think I'm gonna give this comedy thing a shot. But that was kind of short lived because they were like, oh no, you're not gonna do that. And I was like, no, it's cool, I'm good, because like a 6-bedroom house. What do you mean? And they're like, nah, you got to go out on your own, figure it out on your own. And then I was like, oh, okay, it's like that. And they're like, yeah, it's like that. So then I was like, all right, I'm out of here. And so then I was out on my own for like a while, a little bit. And then I was, kind of like, what did I do? I ended up coming back saying, okay, look, here's the deal. You buy me a camera and a computer. I'm going to try this YouTube thing. And if I'm not rich and famous in a year, I'll be that lawyer you want me to be.
Damn, that's quite the task you set on yourself. 1 year to be rich and famous.
Yeah. 8 months later, this was back when the front page of YouTube was like a list.
Yep.
And I got on the front page and 250,000 views for a video I did about how to take out your Christmas tree.
I saw you attacked the tree.
Yeah.
That was class.
That was my first big, it was on the front page of YouTube. I got 250,000 views. I was actually living with my girlfriend's parents.
That's awesome.
Cuz when you have a house in Malibu, you can walk next door to your girlfriend's house and go, hey, girlfriend's parents' house, who are also into. My parents are being mean and they kick me out because they won't let me be a comedian. Can I stay here? And they're like, sure. Take the bedroom in the back.
That's
so it was
lovely.
It was a lucky deal in the sense that I was. It's a gig. It was a lucky gig in the sense that like I was in a group of people that could afford that patronage.
This was at a time when YouTube partnership meant almost nothing. It's like $100 a month for like 1 million views on YouTube, right? Or am I wrong?
No, it was always closer to 1,000 a month.
Oh, was it?
Sorry, 1,000 for a million. Yeah, it's never been different. The way that they counted the views was kind of different in the sense that back then, if someone clicked on your video, it was a view.
Right.
Whereas now they have this whole thing like watch time and engagement and all that. But it's kind of more honest now, I think. Like you have to be entertaining throughout as opposed to get them to click. Because there was a lot of boobs, a lot of like hot chicks, thumbnails.
Of course.
So it was like really, you'd click on something thinking you were going to see like, the Britney Spears sex tape. And then it'd be like Philip DeFranco being like, hey guys.
If I had a nickel for every time Philip DeFranco got me, God damn it.
Yeah. Love that guy. He's actually doing really well.
Yeah.
With his that dude made it.
Yeah, who would have thought news and drama would be a good source of views, right? It's all good. Yeah, so what happened after that? You got on the front page of YouTube.
Yeah.
And then your YouTube career took off a little bit?
I was just famous enough to where I didn't have to take the bar again. I didn't have to I didn't have to do the lawyer thing. I was just like, hey, there's something here. Lots of comedians are successful. Maybe I could be one of those. And so the parents at this point were just kind of like, they were more ignoring than anything else. They were I not ignoring, but they were just kind of like, okay, look, it's not costing me anything. Enjoy your life, kid.
Right.
That's how it came down. So I was just like, yeah, all right, I'm going to do that. And then I had a girlfriend at the time whose parents were very supportive. That's
lovely. That's nice. Get those lovely parents.
And so I traded my parents for hers for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years while I built the YouTube channel. They like rented me an apartment near her college,
That's lovely.
And yeah, I had to get a job, and stuff, but it was more, I was recycling copper. I was working at this place that what they would do is, the old phone cables that are in the ground.
Yes.
Like every old phone line had 2 wires going to and from the street, one for like sending and receiving a signal. And so there's these cables in the ground that are like maybe 6 inches thick that are just pure copper.
Right.
Because they're all wrapped in paper. Anyway, so
we have gypsies in Serbia that do this, not legally per se.
There you go.
But yeah.
So basically, my roots.
That's funny.
No, what these dudes, they contracted with I don't know, some phone line company, and they pull these cables out, and then my job was to cut the cables up and put them on a container and ship them to China, of all places.
Weird.
And then China, it's a lot easier to pull it out of the ground than have to refine it from the mountain.
Right.
So I did that for I did that for, I don't know, like 6 months. But all the while going to open mics, trying to do stand-up, and filming YouTube videos. That's the very first YouTube videos were in a basement apartment in Portland, Oregon. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That was.
But you said, I've seen you've lived all over the place, right? You lived everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How are you traveling to all these places? And I've seen your Cambodia video. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was underrated.
Yeah, well, it needs to be redone. But yeah, that was going to be my big foray into documentary filmmaking, But I can't stand my own voiceover, so I got to redo that.
You're just
when you think of
looking
Cambodia,
in the mirror. Yeah, you're looking in the mirror. I hate listening back to any of my audio too. It's the worst.
When you try really hard at something,
Right. Yeah, I already hate you. Yeah, thank you.
But
I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
let's see. I just followed women around.
Your last sentence was, I started following women a lot, or something like that. And that was all I heard. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. No, because what happened was, so my girlfriend at the time, she graduated from college, and she got a degree in like English literature or something like that. So she couldn't like get a job at anything. And I was like, well, what do you want to do? Like, that sort of thing. And she was like, well, I want to be a nurse or I want to be a nurse. I want to help. Like her grandpa fell and like his bone came out of his skin, and she was like I was like ready to throw up, and I was like, but she was like fascinated by it and trying to like push the bone back in and like wrap it and take him to the hospital
Jesus.
and all that.
Right.
And so she was like, man, I am really into this nursing thing. That would be a cool job. And I was like, all right, well, figure out how do you get a master's in nursing. And so she was like, well, there's a really good school in Michigan,
Baby.
what's that? What's that? John Hopkins or something like that. And I was just like, I was like, okay, look, I'm willing. Like that's a deal breaker for me. I'm not doing that.
I live like
but
right there.
Yeah, I'm not.
Great.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I was looking at, because I just did UCLA, right? And then for law school, I did Southwestern. So I basically just stayed in Los Angeles my entire life. I was born in Glendale, right? And so I was just basically LA my entire life. And I was like, dude, I gotta get out of it. I was like, the only regret I had was that I didn't go to like the University of Hawaii for law school.
Right.
Right. Because law school was just college in general is just a big, great, awesome vacation from life. So I was like, look, go to a badass, get into the medical school in Hawaii or Sydney, Australia. Right. And so she got into the medical school in Sydney, Australia.
That's hype.
And so then I went and lived with her for the 2.5 years in Sydney, Australia, that she had to get, that she needed to get her master's in nursing. And so I was like, oh, this is awesome. I rented a penthouse in one of the buildings down there that overlooked the whole city. It had 3 bedrooms, and it had like 2 bedrooms and a den, but I put up like this fake cardboard sheet over the den part and was like, okay, this is where I'll live. And then I rented out the 2 bedrooms.
No way.
For the same
Nice.
for the same cost as the entire flat would cost. So I got us free living accommodation, and then my YouTube money at that point was probably like maybe $1,000 a month, maybe $2,000 a month, which was like a lot. And then I got a job vacuuming hospitals at $25 an hour.
What?
Like, yeah, it was great. I would put a book on, and I would just like 8 hours a day. I just walk up and down the halls of these hospitals, just vacuuming with a backpack vacuum.
That's awesome.
And then after I think 3 or 4 weeks of that, I bought a Land Rover for like
sound decision.
$3,000. No, it was great because check this out. I rented out my shitty little room for, I think it was like, out there, rent goes by the week. You have to pay every 4 weeks.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like 28 days. It's not even a month.
Right.
It's like,
wow.
So anyway, so I rented out my room for, I think it was 8 weeks to this couple from England or something like that. And it was a nice, like it had a tennis court on the roof and a gym, and so it was a nice building. Anyway, so tall ceilings. Anyway, the point was that I rented out my room for like, I don't know, it was like $300 or $400 a week. And I ended up taking that Land Rover and just driving around all of Australia for like months, just like, getting them to pay for it.
Amazing.
Sort of. I'm sorry, what?
Were you doing stand-up? Were you trying to do shows, like driving around doing shows?
Yeah. No, I wasn't driving around doing shows. I was driving around seeing cool shit. But the shows part of it, like when I lived in Sydney, I would go to this place called the Laugh Garage, which is just by the park there. And I went there like, and told them I'm big on YouTube and all that. And then they were like, okay, we'll give you some time. And then they gave me like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, and then they would have me be the middle guy. And then I think eventually I had my own, showcase or whatever. But these dudes are all like, there was 2 classes of comedian in Australia. There's the guys that are making it and the ones that are trying. And I was definitely in the group of the people that were trying, but I had some panache, on the internet. So they had to give me the props for that. On stage, I was an absolute beast, though, so it didn't matter.
And
but
modest,
everyone was.
And modest,
everyone
they
was.
said.
Modest, right?
No,
but see, everyone's good on stage. Well, okay, not everyone, but everyone who's trying it. You know what I mean? Is, you get good eventually. If you've been at it a while and you still suck, like, what are you doing?
Was this during the time of like Jim Jeffries and stuff were on the come up and guys like that?
No. Those guys were already well ahead of me.
Were they? Okay.
Yeah. Jim Jeffries was touring well. I've actually met Jim. Great dude. Nothing. He's a fantastic.
I'd be funny if you just said like he's really not funny. Like I talked.
No, he is. He is.
So what's the big problem, or what do you think the big problem was at that time? What would you have done differently if you could have?
Yeah.
That's $1 million question, isn't it? Right? Because
no, I mean, here's the thing. Like, there's a line that people were. There's a line. Right. And the question is, are you willing to cross that line? Like you can get all kinds of attention if you duct tape yourself to like in Vegas, I had this idea that like, all I need to do is really walk up to the top of one of these buildings and like duct tape myself to, like, say, the Eiffel Tower in Las Vegas. You duct tape, or in France, you fly to Paris, you climb up the Eiffel Tower and you just, clip yourself to the edge, jump over and then duct tape yourself to it. And, just let what happens. And then you're that, next thing you know, you're famous.
You're the
right?
duct tape Eiffel Tower guy.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at like say Jim Jeffries, right? Like how he started, he was doing stand-up comedy, and he wasn't like he was killing it. He wasn't like absolutely destroying on stage and like on his way. But what happened was a guy in the audience punched him in the face or something like that. Just
Really?
walked up on stage and punched him. Yeah, and then he ran off stage, and then they took the guy out, and then he came back and finished his set. Right? So his manager takes that video, puts it online, and now he's the comedian that says is so off the wall, so off the audience actually came up on stage to punch him. And then, like, the whole story just kind of...
Such good marketing.
He sells out the rest of his tour, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's a true story. The guy did actually, want to punch him and all that. But it wasn't like every single set he did was so provocative that it, it was just like that guy had, just broken up with his girlfriend or gotten fired or whatever that guy had going on.
Right.
But anyway, so it takes that something, right? And the thing is, like, I'm always in the sense that, like, I feel like I always want to be friendlier than that. And so, like, I'll take it to the line or the edge, but if I feel like the other person's uncomfortable, I'll be like, oh, this isn't like Logan Paul, right? Like, his vines were what made him famous, arguably, right? And so he was the guy at the grocery store who would, like, walk up to the checkout person in a Speedo or something and jump onto the belt and ask to be scanned, by the grocery person, because, and so then it's kind of like those dudes are so far outside the bounds. Or like, you look at Roman Atwood, right? He started off with pranks where he ended up on the news because he was doing the zombie thing when the soap, what's it called? The kids were eating those
bath salts or whatever.
Yeah, the bath salts. Yeah. So everybody does something weird that gets them in the spotlight, right? And I think that's the one thing, like, I never did. I never
punched a cop in the face.
Well, maybe that one might be a good one to avoid.
But
to
I
be
mean,
fair.
like, all you need is like a headline: comedian, this YouTuber does this, But see, here's the the flip side to that is you get trapped in that cycle of outdoing yourself, and next thing you know, you're filming, a suicide victim in the
Right.
Japanese forest,
Right.
and you think it's okay because it's just another day in the life of whatever.
It's a morality thing. You become something that you really don't want to become just because of the end goal that you're chasing. And then it's like, at that point, are you even going to be happy with your success if you're so, not you anymore?
Exactly. So I think my thing was, I always just kind of was like, look, I'm going to do me. I'm going to be me. And if it happens, awesome. And if it doesn't, well, I'm still having a pretty good time. My days are still packed with cool stuff.
I mean, you've led a crazy life, so even if at worst case you don't ever achieve anything greater than what you've already done, you've done more than 99.9% of people. So
I hang out with my friends from law school all the time. They're district attorneys, they're lawyers, they're and they're like serious people.
They're not fun. That sounds like.
No, they are. They are a lot of fun, but they're fun in the sense that they're dealing with real shit, and real stuff is happening, and so they're kind of like, oh God, what Kate, what could I tell you? What story?
Office politics problems, right? Like, I've also had this. I've worked in a cubicle. I've had
there you go
things that I thought were interesting, but like to anyone that has a somewhat interesting life, are most certainly not interesting and worthy of like.
Well, look, everything everything is interesting to some degree, but you have to be able to step out of it. You have to be able to go like that. Karen at the office isn't trying to ruin you.
Sure.
Right? Like, Karen's not after you. She's just trying to get home to her cats and, paint or like whatever it is. But to me, I've always had that step back mentality. Like, even like I've vacuumed hospitals. Like, I've been the janitor, right? And when I was the janitor, I never thought, oh, this is my life. This is who I am. I was always like, this is fucking hilarious. Like, look at this guy. Like, I got a vet. Yeah, I'm that guy. And I would,
I'll clean your floor. I'll clean your floor.
Yeah. Like, is there any math problems on the old window there? How you like them apples?
You're writing shit on the windows, and they're like, we asked you to clean the floors. Like, I don't know what you think you are, but you're not Matt Damien. Please stop writing on the
The tagging has increased 6-fold. It's like, we found the markers in your janitor's closet. Are you marking up the hospital?
No, and then it just falls out of your pockets, like, as you're talking. They're like, what?
Yeah, right. But I mean, like, something like that, like, in the sense that I never got, I'm trying to say something. I'm trying to say that I never took anything too seriously. So that's kind of like my downfall, but it's also the part that like kind of makes life sane, like, cause if you took a good look at my life, like if you took, like, let's say I looked at myself through my parents' eyes, right? Like moving home at 40 and, not having kids, not having a real, well, I mean, I have a career, but nothing that they would consider a career. Because like anytime I get into a conversation with them, I've done it's like almost 1,200 videos.
1,200 and like 22 or something. Yeah, I actually wrote that down, believe it or not.
Yeah, 1,200 plus videos. And that's not nothing. I mean, that took 13, like if you sat down and you watched all of them, you're looking at 5 days of, like, there are few fucking people. And anyway, so I don't look at it as like a waste or as a but they do, right? And so when that's a little tough.
They just maybe look at it like you're not at your potential. I wouldn't say they look at it as a waste. They would probably think like you have a higher potential, and that's probably right. I've
had this conversation with them, and their value system is so skewed that they don't even recognize that. Like, because I asked them, I go, what if I made it though? Like, what if I what if I crossed that line and I was your successful millionaire, whatever that looks like, whatever success would look like. And they said that would be the worst thing to have ever happened to me, because then that would have justified the waste that I had become.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Right.
And I'm just like, okay, look, so we're just not going to see eye to eye at this point. Like, it's just not going to be a thing.
Yeah, it's a really, it's an unfortunate thing. I think, like, if they just push you in the right direction, it may have helped, but foreign parents are like that. You can't, you can't fault them for being that way, kind of. Everybody
has to overcome, their own deal. And I think a lot of that, and this is just me maybe painting them with a, because they're just doing the best they can.
Sure.
With what they had. And they look at me and they're like, you had so much more. You could have been so much better. And I'm just like, well, I am.
Accept it, yeah.
Like, how is my life not better than yours?
From the other perspective, it's like, what would you do if your kid didn't want to go to school, let's say, or didn't have like...
I would keep them out of school. Are you kidding? My kid?
I'm sure you would, but let's say they were completely lost and like they were just sitting around doing nothing. Like, as a parent, I could see the other end of that spectrum.
Here's the thing, though. If I was sitting around doing nothing,
yeah,
but I literally put in 16-hour days doing nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, these videos don't edit themselves. They don't.
I didn't mean that as you do. I'm just saying, like, if a person didn't, yeah.
No, I totally get where you're coming from, but like, here's I recently listened to a podcast.
Wow, very nice.
with Adam Sandler, and he was talking about raising his kids, and he was saying that like the hardest part that he has is that when he was a kid, he wanted to get good at stuff. So like he wanted to get good at riding his bicycle, so he'd get out on his bike and he'd like start doing wheelies and going off jumps, or he would like want to do comedy, so he would like write every day. He's like, there's stuff that he wanted to get good at, so he would practice at it. He says he looks at his kids and there's nothing they want to be good at. Right. He's just like, what do you mean nothing? There's nothing you want to be better at? And they're just like, no. And he's just like, what do you he's like, and I think that would be like the hardest.
That would be tough
thing. Cause me, I have this, not like a drive or anything, but I do have this desire to create. And it doesn't matter like what I'm doing. I'm, even if you're just sitting, you're doodling, you're always creating. Not that that's like creation or anything or worthy, right?
But artistic pursuit, let's call it. You have an artistic pursuit in some way.
Or I would say what's his name? The first Stoic, Marcus Aurelius, right? He has this whole like thing about what it is to be a human being and the purpose of humans. And he's like asleep in his bed, right? And he's like, oh, it's nice and warm in my bed. He's like, why should I get out of it? I could just sit here and be nice and cozy and warm. And then he's like, but that's not the purpose. The purpose of is to go and try and work hard and do better. And I think I have that in me, because I'm not comfortable sleeping in bed or sitting and watching.
Yeah.
Watching.
I can't stand still.
Yeah. So that's always been in me. But I think the thing that bugs my parents is that the thing that I've chosen to do is like a very, I don't know, whatever. I don't want to dissect them anymore.
No problem. I understand. I'm in a kind of a similar boat to you in some sense, because I did go to school. I have an engineering degree. That's what my parents wanted me to do. I don't necessarily hate it.
So does Weird Al Yankovic.
Does he really? That's a fun fact right there. But I'm also doing the YouTube thing on the side, which I kind of enjoy. I like the podcast, and I don't think my parents... I'm fortunate enough where they just say, like, you know what, if you make that succeed, great. But in the meantime, do something that you have guaranteed, like, income so you can survive. Like, so... Yeah. But the funniest part is, to me, was, like, for the most part, they didn't really care, and they didn't pay too much mind to it until one day, like, I had a funny video with my dad. I pranked my dad. It was a silly video. And all of a sudden, it blows up. It has, like, 100,000 views on Reddit. And I've never seen my dad like so happy about it. Like, he's telling his friends about it. He's like reading the comments. He's like, "Can you believe this guy said that?" I'm like, "Welcome to my world, dude." Like,
That's awesome. The bug. He got bit.
He got bit, but like I think there's some middle line there that's so difficult to find for each person. It's so difficult to predict, and I guess nurture even would be the word. Like,
they have to. You gotta want it. You gotta go after it. There's no. I don't. What you're talking about is like if you could motivate someone,
right?
You know, it's like, how do you do that? It's like, look, that person either wakes up motivated or they don't. You're either Dwayne Johnson at the gym 3:30 in the morning, being like,
It's gonna feel so good. Oh, this is how we like it.
or you're the other guy who's motivated to eat tubs of ice cream. You know.
Sure. All right. Well, let's let me ask you this: what's the plan for the future? You can't obviously do stand-up at the moment. You're kind of maybe in a free fall, or am I wrong to say that?
A free fall? Hardly. No. I have exactly at my current burn rate. Let's see. I have 14. I want to say probably 14 days before I'm broke. before it's all just
Jesus.
tits up. I'm so glad you texted me, because this is going to turn it around. This podcast.
Yeah, this is it. This is the one.
I was like, is Nelly going to call? Is Nelly going to call? Oh God. He's had Olympians on. I've got to Actually, no, that didn't work out. No, I have I got a phone call apparently. Okay, so I have what do you call that? Money, because I did make a lot of money at one point. How to Kiss 39 million views. That's $39,000 from that video. You know what I mean? So 140 million views is $150,000. Now, 10 years worth of, if you divide it out over the 10 years, it's not as, or 13 years, it's not as interesting or not as much. But I do construction shit on the side, and all that stuff. So I stay afloat. And my parents help me out a lot more than they want to.
Fair.
Every time the birthday comes around, I'm just kind of like, hey, how about paying that car registration? That sort of thing.
Right.
But so I have some money saved up from all that, and the goal, the future.
Yeah, this is
Right?
exciting. Let's talk about the future. The present is kind of shit right now for everyone.
Yeah, I transition from YouTube videos to Netflix
Okay.
documentaries.
Okay. Yeah.
That's basically it. So I just did a series. I don't know if you saw about the tacos.
I don't know if I saw the taco one, to be honest.
Oh, it's long. It's long. I don't know. It was my first attempt at a documentary. Well, actually, the first attempt was the Cambodian spirit houses one. That I was going to take to festivals and submit to as a short documentary to a bunch of festivals, and then kind of hobnob with people and get them to fund my future documentaries. But COVID happened, and there are no festivals. So fair enough. So now the plan is to slowly transition the Gradual Report into a more sustainable medium, in the sense that like Patreon type stuff. Like I get like maybe $180 a month from patrons. And the goal is to get that up to like maybe 1,000 or 2,000 a month, because then I'll be like 100% sustainable, because that's my burn rate.
Right.
And so yeah, I can live very comfortably on 2,000 a month. Turns out,
Very nice.
especially during COVID,
When you don't have to go outside.
No, but I have my days to myself, and I have travel. I can organize travel and stuff, because I mean, plane tickets anywhere are like $700.
Dirt cheap.
Yeah. So you can literally fly to Japan for like, I don't know, $1,300.
Lovely place. You should do it if you haven't
I've done it.
Oh, you've done Japan. Yeah, amazing place. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, no, I dated a girl who was a flight attendant when I was living in Dubai for 2 years. She worked for Emirates, and so I took advantage of her.
Dude, you figured it out. You need to write a book. What are you talking about documentaries? You need to write a book on how to, oh my God.
How to live.
Yes. Oh, find a girl, that is going to go to Melbourne to do like nursing.
Yeah.
Find a flight attendant. Like, dude, there's so many Things that people don't think about probably.
It was $85 round trip to go to Tokyo for 10 days.
Holy shit.
85.
I paid $1,400 to get from Toronto to Tokyo.
That'll do it. And then, so then, So the idea is so here's the idea. All right.
Pitch
here's
me.
The pitch.
Yeah.
I do the Gradual Report and I slowly train. Now, the next series that I'm doing for the Gradual Report is going to be trying the dollar menu of all of the fast food places and kind of documenting that is like, which one has the best. And actually here's a script. I got it printed out.
Nice.
So judging criteria: taste, variety, healthiness, ability to eat continuously, calories per dollar, how long it keeps you full, and freshness. So based on those 7 criteria, which fast food place has the best fast food on the value menu? And of course, I'll dive into a little bit of the history of the dollar, dollar menu, which is basically the wars that Burger King and McDonald's started in the 1980s. Actually, Wendy's was the first.
Pretty interesting. I'd like to watch that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there'll be a series, one episode for each restaurant, and then I'll put it all together into like a grand finale type, who's got the best score type thing. And hopefully that will, and I'm just sharpening skills at that point. At that point, because basically like before this moment, I was always just pointing the camera at my face and trying to be, that funny, right? Mr. Like the charisma and the talent and the rawness will push it through. Now I'm going to try and be more refined and more specialized, I guess, in the sense that it's more about the storytelling and about the bringing the audience along in a that sort of way.
Do you know what I honestly believe is more important than even the script, the video, the charisma? The thumbnail and the title. Right. That is 98% of work on YouTube. It's laughable how much, because if no one clicks on your video, the work you put in is irrelevant. It doesn't mean a damn thing, right? You have to have a click through that is good enough that someone that's going to get shown that video with the algorithm is going to click on it, right? That is the ultimate success on YouTube, because even if you had 1 million subscribers, eventually those views would dwindle down. You need people that are new constantly clicking on your content. Subscribers almost don't mean anything, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. Subscribers don't mean anything in it anymore. I think it's more about making content that is clickable for a larger audience.
Yeah, but that's if you want to stay on YouTube. If you're like Mr. Beast,
sure,
and that's all you want,
sure,
then yeah, you're absolutely right. But my whole point is to transition into the Netflix documentary space. So what I'm doing is I'm using YouTube to sharpen those tools so that when I do finally make my documentary, I'll at least know how to organize the footage on a hard drive.
Right, I got you.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Are you editing all this on a Mac, with Premiere?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, not Premiere. Final Cut. Premiere, you have to pay monthly. I can't.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. They're crazy.
I ain't rich.
Yeah, who's got $40 a month to pay for editing stuff? What is this?
Dude, I live on $2,000 a month. You got $40 for.
Out of principle. It's not even about the money. As a Serbian man, I cannot be paying $40 a month for anything.
Up until 3 months ago, I was editing everything on Final Cut Pro 7. Which was my computer that I bought in 2011.
Holy shit.
So for like 9 years, I had the same old ass computer, and it didn't die either. It just couldn't handle all of the new 4K stuff.
Right. Are you shooting in 4K? You're
not really.
No, yeah.
Like some of it, but it doesn't make a difference for YouTube. So I was like, nah, I tried to, but the old computer just couldn't handle it. The new computer can. And that was basically me saving up all the Patreon stuff for like 2 years to buy like a Costco version of a MacBook Pro.
Right.
For $1,100. And then now I'm still I got another 43 days on my free trial before I have to shell out the $300 to buy the editing.
That's
But,
interesting. Netflix is quite the gig. If you get in, let me know. I have a documentary I'd like to pitch to the boys. It's a spicy.
Yeah.
It's a
No, I actually
spicy one.
recently I was hanging out with a friend in LA. And see, the thing is about LA is it's really small. Everybody knows everybody. So you just throw a rock and you'll hit somebody who works at Netflix or Hulu or something. And so I've thrown enough rocks up, and I'm generally, fun to hang out with and all that. So I'm not like, a square. And so like I'll hang out with people, and I have some ins, but I need to have like a product that's, you can't be
no
like,
one's
hey,
just gonna give you money like for
yeah. Put this on Netflix because we were friends that one day.
Actually, there was that. I don't know if you watched South Park, but there was a episode where the boys are trying to get a show to Netflix, and and they're just like, Netflix is like, they have a hotline thing, and everyone's just picking up the phone to like, hi Netflix, how many seasons would you like? Like they were giving everyone shows, and they were trying to like get a superhero show like Coon and Friends. Like Cartman played like this Coon thing. It was just awesome.
Right. I love it. Love it. Yeah, so that's the idea, is to transition into well, here's the idea, is even if I don't make any money, even if Netflix gives me like $6, but they promote it.
Huge.
Right? That's the thing, because then I could do stand-up comedy and just tour on the fame that came from
of course,
the Netflix promotion. So that's my last Hail Mary pass. That's the next 5 years. If that doesn't happen in 5 years, I guess I'll just, retreat to the family business and
the family, like, law,
just go after the money in real estate.
Oh, real estate.
And then,
fair enough. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know. I think we're at an hour, believe it or not. I really enjoyed. I don't know if I'm cutting. I might be cutting out. Am I cutting out?
No.
Okay.
I hear you. I just wanted to keep saying nice things.
No, I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks a lot for coming by. I don't know. Do you have anything to plug? Anything to shout out?
Oh God. Yeah. The Gradual Report.
Where we gradually report.
Yeah, on YouTube. Do subscribe, and then my Patreon.
That's it, guys. Just my guy just needs a little bit to survive. You're giving stupider money to stupider people. You can give to a good dude making some solid content. Come on.
We do try.
All right, dude. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Okay.